You are listening to the Primitive Intelligence Podcast, episode 614, They Pretend to be Human. This week, I dive into some stories from the book Mimics, The Others Among Us by Sean Castile and Tim R. Swartz, with stories from a host of contributors. Seriously, there's a ton of people who contribute to this book. The link to the book will be in the show notes. You can see everybody who contributed here, and if these stories interest you, I highly recommend checking it out. It was released in 2023. There's always been the burning question, are we alone? For that answer, people often look to the stars, alien worlds, visiting spacecraft, etc. This book looks at the idea that aliens might not be the only ones visiting. This episode of the Primitive Intelligence Podcast starts now. Mimic. According to the Oxford Dictionary, it's a person skilled in imitating voice, mannerisms, or movements of others in an entertaining way. But what if there was something, an entity of some kind, that wanted or needed to live among humans? Mimicry might not be for amusement then. Well, maybe for theirs. It could be a means of protection or fitting in, or a means of deception for a more sinister objective. This book, Mimics, The Others Among Us, looks at several examples and reports of people encountering beings that are trying to look and act human, and they don't always get it quite right. Sometimes it seems intentionally. Although it does cover human-looking ETs like the Nordics and Palladians, that wasn't my focus for this episode, so I'm not really going to cover those stories. I want to look at some of the other non-human encounters with creatures like fairies, imps, tulpas, changelings, and religious beings. These beings sometimes get things a little wrong when mimicking us, creating what is known as the Uncanny Valley effect. Now, the Uncanny Valley is a concept used primarily in robotics, computer graphics, and animation to describe the phenomenon where human-like objects, such as robots or computer-generated characters, closely resemble a human, but they're not quite realistic enough. As a result, instead of evoking empathy or familiarity, it triggers a feeling of eeriness, discomfort, or revulsion in observers. The term Uncanny Valley was first coined by Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori in 1970. The concept suggests that as the appearance of a humanoid object becomes more realistic, there is a point at which it becomes almost, but not quite human-like. In this valley of the graph, representing familiarity versus human likeness, there is a dip in emotional response. However, as the object becomes even more realistic, beyond this point, the discomfort diminishes and the emotional response becomes positive again. The Uncanny Valley has implications for various fields, including, like I said, robotics, animation, virtual reality, and prosthetics, where designers strive to create human-like entities that are both believable and socially acceptable. Crossing the Uncanny Valley is a significant challenge in these fields, as achieving a level of realism that doesn't trigger discomfort is essential for their acceptance and engagement. A good example in this book is about, a creepy ballerina. Winchester counselor Adrian Hicks's experience in 2004 stands out as a testament to the bizarre. While ambling down Winchester's High Street, Hicks was confronted with a sight that defied conventional explanation. A figure that seemed plucked from the pages of science fiction, described as a humanoid, yet moving with a peculiar penguin-like gait. The individual was adorned in attire reminiscent of a ballerina, moving amidst the busy street. Despite her unconventional appearance, witnesses noticed a demeanor of tranquility and even amusement as the enigmatic figure made her unhurried progression up the bustling thoroughfare. For Hicks, an orthopedic technician with decades of experience in the Royal Hampshire County Hospital, the encounter was jarring enough to warrant a call to fellow witnesses for corroborating evidence, speculating that at least one observer might have captured this individual on camera. Reflecting on the encounter, Hicks expressed regret at his failure to engage in conversation with the figure, opting instead to respect her apparent tranquility. Yet the encounter spurred contemplation on the boundaries of human understanding and the potential coexistence of enigmatic beings within our midst, be they ancient entities or recent arrivals with an inscrutable agenda. Such encounters evoke primal fears and challenge established notions of reality, prompting reassessment of the fundamental qualities that define humanity in a world where the line between familiar and the uncanny blurs. The specter of hidden beings lurking within the fabric of society serves as a potential reminder of the mysteries that lie beyond the veneer of everyday life. This is a pretty short encounter, and unfortunately there is no further information on this odd ballerina. But what about when the differences aren't immediately noticeable? In Salvador Freixedo's La Granja Humana, the narrative delves into the intricate relationship between Lula and Jorge, her enigmatic husband. Jorge's character is shrouded in mystery from the outset, with his origins, relatives, and livelihood all veiled in secrecy. Despite Lula's playful accusations that Jorge may not be entirely human, he never explicitly confirms or denies these claims, leaving an aura of intrigue around him. What sets Jorge apart are his extraordinary abilities. He possesses precognitive powers, accurately foreseeing future events and adjusting his actions accordingly. Additionally, he exhibits superhuman physical prowess, engaging in activities that would be lethal for an ordinary person, such as challenging dangerous waves at the beach or displaying remarkable feats of speed and agility. However, Jorge's health was paradoxically fragile, often succumbing to respiratory issues and lapsing into catatonic states. His recovery was always swift, facilitated by inhaling from a mysterious crystal that he always carried. Despite his warnings to Lula not to investigate the contents, at one point during one of Jorge's health scares, she decides to investigate the crystal, leading to a cryptic warning from Jorge. One of his doctors realized during an exam, I think they were doing x-rays, that Jorge had no lungs and oddly arranged internal organs never seen before in a human. Other consulting doctors confirmed these findings. As Jorge's health declined, he issued peculiar instructions for his burial, insisting on being wrapped in bandages like a mummy and having silver coins placed between his fingers, with no autopsy to be performed. Lula dutifully honored her husband's wishes, but her life took a dark turn afterward, allegedly due to following instructions from Jorge's departed spirit, leading to her disappearance. Tito ponders on Jorge's true nature, considering him either an extraterrestrial creation or a member of a cryptic humanity. Despite the speculations, Lula never perceived Jorge as extraterrestrial, describing him as a devoted spouse and stepfather. Now, these are just two examples of the wide range of accuracy or lack thereof mimics can obtain. Now, I want to look at a few different categories of mimics mentioned in the book. First, let's look at the more fantasy or folklore based. In folklore and mythology, the realms of fairies, imps, and elves are rich with enchantment and mystery, offering a glimpse into fantastical worlds that exist alongside our own. Fairies, often depicted as delicate and ethereal beings, are renowned for their beauty, magic, and mischievous nature. These enchanting creatures are believed to inhabit natural landscapes from shimmering forests to hidden glens, where they dance beneath the moonlight and weave spells of wonder. Imps, on the other hand, are pint-sized tricksters, known for their antics and playful demeanor. With their devilish grins and penchant for mischief, imps delight in causing mayhem and stirring up trouble, often with a mischievous twinkle in their eye. Elves, meanwhile, embody a sense of ancient wisdom and grace, dwelling in mystical realms and forests, where they are said to possess unparalleled skill in craftsmanship and magic. These elegant beings are often depicted as guardians of nature, with a deep connection to the earth and its secrets. Together, the worlds of fairies, imps, and elves spark the imagination and invite us to explore realms where magic and wonder are woven into the fabric of existence. Now, that's kind of a folklore and general knowledge of fairies, imps, and elves, but some of the stories in this book make them out to be quite a bit darker. Let's start with a story from 1980 from Luis Ramirez Reyes, a prominent figure in Mexico's ufology circles. His sojourn at the county estate of his friend, Dr. Paco Medina, nestled in the serene environment of Moyotepec in the state of Morelos. This was intended to unravel the mystery surrounding a peculiar incident involving a tree reportedly zapped by a passing UFO. Little did Ramirez anticipate that his quest for answers would thrust him into an unsettling encounter of his own. As Ramirez retired for the night, the tranquility of the countryside was shattered by an inexplicable occurrence. A weighty present descended upon his guest bed, jolting him awake with a sense of foreboding. With trepidation, he reached out, expecting to encounter a snake or some other creature on his bed, only to find emptiness enveloping the space beside him. Thus began a night of profound unease, marking one of the most disconcerting episodes in the ufologist's storied career. The following day, Ramirez's investigation took an unprecedented turn upon conversing with the household's young caretakers. Their matter-of-fact account of his nocturnal visitor, whom they nonchalantly referred to as Changelings, revealed a dimension of the inexplicable that transcended mere speculation, describing these enigmatic entities as childlike beings. The children recounted playful interactions with the Changelings, who remained invisible to adult scrutiny, but manifested clearly to their youthful eyes. Their depiction painted a vivid picture: beings with oversized heads, hairless, and clad in modest attire befitting their diminutive stature, usually just shorts. Driven by an insatiable quest for truth, Ramirez subjected the children to rigorous questioning, unearthing a pattern of nocturnal disturbances that had plagued Dr. Medina's household. The revelations were as chilling as they were confounding. The Changelings, despite their mischievous antics, instilled a deep-seated fear in the household, prompting Dr. Medina's wife to shun the countryside refuge altogether. Yet amidst the occurrences, Ramirez gleaned a profound insight into the nature of these otherworldly visitors. Their interdimensional origins, he surmised, offered a tantalizing glimpse into realms beyond the purview of conventional understanding. Despite their playful demeanor, Ramirez concluded the Changelings wielded a disconcerting power, requiring polite queries to get them to stop. If you yelled at them to leave, they would get worse. If you politely asked them to leave you alone, they would stop. So to me, these Changelings almost sound like elves, like house elves. A little creepy. Big-headed, bald little dudes in shorts running around, playing tricks on people and jumping on your bed in the middle of the night. That would freak me right out. The next story is, it's a tale as captivating as it is confounding. Revolving around the elusive presence of diminutive beings nestled on the island of Tenerife within the forebodingly named enclave of La Matanza, which I think means the slayings. Reports abound of these shadowy figures, draped in dark olive green hues, casting an otherworldly aura upon the landscape. Yet what adds an extra layer of intrigue to this enigma is the agreement among the locals to shroud these encounters in secrecy. Dubbed Los Diablios, or the Imps, these entities materialize under the cloak of night, their appearances seemingly tethered to human activity after sundown. Initially believed to be drawn by the clandestine rendezvous of couples at the secluded retreat of Finca del Duque, subsequent incidents have shattered this notion, revealing a broader scope to their mysterious presence. In November 1992, an anonymous resident of Tenerife, accompanied by his partner, bore witness to the unsettling manifestation of these beings. From the safety of their vehicle, they glimpsed a creature standing at a diminutive 3 feet, draped in a shroud of grayish or black fur, wielding a staff and possessing eyes like a cat. They fled the scene in terror, and they dared not return, even in daylight. Another chilling encounter unfolded in 1993, a year later, recounted by Alberto Dieppe, a denizen of Gran Canaria. Venturing to Finca del Duque with friends who were just out for a ride, they found themselves besieged by a cluster of 6 or 7 of these entities. Their gaze, piercing through the veil of darkness, described as possessing childlike frames with adult faces. Their dark olive green skin and piercing red eyes left an indelible mark on the witnesses. Scared out of their minds, they fled the scene, leaving behind a lingering sense of disbelief. They claim that the imps seemed to vanish as soon as they started their vehicle. Dieppe, driven by a blend of curiosity and trepidation, returned alone weeks later, only to be enveloped by an eerie sensation of their presence. Despite failing to visually confirm their existence, he remained convinced of their corporeal reality, postulating the existence of a dimensional portal tethering these beings to the island's fabric. In the wake of these encounters, a shroud of silence descended upon those who bore witness, with Dieppe and his companions electing to bury the truth of their ordeal, a testament to the chilling impact of their brush with the unknown. As the shadows deepen over the Canary Islands, the enigma of the Diablos persists, casting a veil of mystery over the rugged terrain where reality and myth intertwine in an intricate dance of the supernatural. So those are just a few of the stories centered around the fantastical and the folklorish. But what about mimics in religion? Human-like entities feature prominently across various religions and mythologies, often serving as messengers, guardians, or embodiments of divine or supernatural forces. Here are descriptions of some of the notable human-like entities from different religious traditions. Angels in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Spiritual beings believed to act as intermediaries between God or gods and humans. Typically depicted as winged beings with radiant appearance, though may also appear in human form. Devas in Hinduism. Celestial beings, often depicted as radiant, godlike entities. They inhabit higher realms of existence and are considered divine or semi-divine beings tasked with various responsibilities. Bodhisattvas in Buddhism. Enlightened beings who are chosen to postpone their own enlightenment in order to help others attain liberation from suffering. They're revered figures in Mahayana Buddhism and are often depicted as compassionate and benevolent entities who guide and assist sentient beings on their spiritual journey. Jinn, supernatural beings in Islamic mythology. Created from smokeless fire by Allah, they possess free will and may be benevolent or malevolent, or neutral. Jinn are believed to inhabit the unseen realms and may appear in human or animal form. Nephilim, mentioned in the Bible as the offspring of angels and human women, described as giants or mighty warriors, and are associated with pre-flood civilizations. Asuras, in Hinduism and Buddhism. Again, divine beings, often depicted as powerful, sometimes malevolent entities, considered to be enemies of the gods, devas, and are associated with the forces of chaos, conflict, and ignorance. These are just a few examples of the diverse array of human-like entities found in religious and mythological traditions, each reflecting unique cultural beliefs, values, and cosmologies. In a mythological narrative intertwined in biblical texts, the tale of the Watchers unfolds. These angelic beings, led by Shemazah, descend to earth during the time of Jared, the father of Enoch. They took mortal women as wives, giving birth to monstrous offspring. Legends recount instances of both seduction and resistance, with figures like Istihar and Nama playing significant roles. Enoch, appointed as the scribe of justice, confronts the Watchers about their transgressions. Their offspring, the giants or Nephilim, bring devastation upon earth, consuming both food and people. The fallen angels' teachings in forbidden arts and warfare contribute to their condemnation. Righteous angels engage in battle, leading to the divine decision to cleanse the earth with a flood. In the biblical tale of Lot and the angels, divine messengers visit Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot offers them hospitality, but the men of the city want to know the visitors in a carnal sense. I'll let you fill those blanks in yourself. The angels intervene, striking the assailants with blindness and warn Lot of impending destruction. The angels urge Lot and his family to flee the city, and despite lingering, they are physically removed from harm's way before divine retribution strikes. The account underscores the angel's ability to appear human, emphasizing the importance of hospitality to strangers. I'm not sure that's what the point is trying to get across, who may be more than they seem. But again, we have beings showing up, pretending to be human, trying to look human. There's a lot of other instances of this in religion. That's probably one of the more bizarre. Next, changelings. A changeling is a mythical creature or being found in various folklore and legends, primarily European in origin, particularly in Celtic and Scandinavian traditions. The concept of the changeling revolves around the belief that supernatural entities, often fairies or otherworldly beings, would secretly exchange a human child with one of their own, typically a deformed or otherwise undesirable fairy child. So they take your really nice baby and they leave you with a dud. The exchange was believed to occur clandestinely, usually during infancy, when the human child would be taken away and replaced with the changeling. The reasons behind this exchange varied across different folklore traditions, but often include motives such as seeking a healthier or more attractive child, or seeking to punish or torment human families. Changelings were often depicted as appearing human at first glance, but possessing characteristics that betrayed their supernatural origins, such as unusual behavior, rapid growth or aging, physical abnormalities. They were also said to possess magical abilities or knowledge beyond their apparent age or experience. The presence of a changeling in a household was believed to bring misfortune, illness, or discord to the family, as a changeling was seen as a disruptive force or as a drain on the family's resources and affection. In some tales, it was believed that specific rituals or tests could reveal the true nature of the changeling and prompt its return to the fairy realm, allowing the human child to be restored to its rightful place. Overall, the changeling myth served as a cultural explanation for various phenomena such as sudden illnesses or developmental disorders in children, and as a cautionary tale against interacting with supernatural beings or meddling in the affairs of the fairy realm. Despite its origins as folklore, the concept of the changeling continues to captivate imaginations. In more modern times, the idea of changelings has shifted away from fairies and more towards alien, men in black, black-eyed kid encounters, which begs the question, are they one and the same? And here's a couple examples that show a little bit more of an alien twist to the story of the changelings. Denise Stoner, co-author of the Alien Abduction Files, found herself embroiled in a perplexing series of events during a routine shopping trip at a mall on Christmas Eve. Amidst the holiday bustle, she and her mother encountered two enigmatic women pushing a stroller containing a peculiar infant with unsettling features. According to her own account, she said, "They were pushing one of those umbrella-style strollers with no fancy attachments, just the hammock-type bed, wheels, and handles. I noticed they had no purses or accessories, such as a diaper bag to carry diapers or bottles. The women moved slowly. It seemed to draw my attention to the stroller. There was a baby blanket in the bottom portion, and on top, the head of a baby no bigger than a small grapefruit. Pasty-colored skin, no noticeable nose, a line for a mouth, and huge dark eyes taking up most of the rest of its head. I wondered if the baby was deformed, but knew this was not the case somehow. The baby appeared alert and was staring up at me. My mom bumped me with her arm to get my attention and said, "What is wrong with that baby?" Now, Stoner's background as a MUFON investigator heightened her awareness, prompting her to scrutinize the scene. Time appeared to slow to a crawl as she observed the strange trio, only for them to vanish without a trace, leaving Stoner grappling with a disconcerting sense of unease. The strangeness did not end there, though. As Stoner and her mother exited the mall, they were accosted by 3 ominous men in black, who issued a stern warning against discussing their otherworldly encounter. Despite their intimidation tactics, Stoner was left to grapple with the unsettling truth of her experience, questioning the boundaries between reality and the unknown. The description of that infant sounds eerily familiar, doesn't it? That's not the only one. Our next story here, about changelings. Employees at an appliance and furniture rental store in Great Bend, Kansas, stumbled upon a bizarre occurrence. Upon arriving at work, they discovered the back door ajar. All the lights in the store mysteriously turned on. Despite the intact security latch, the security system was disabled, prompting a call to the police and the store manager. As the police officer investigated, they were startled by the sound of a baby crying emanating from the showroom. To their astonishment, they found not one, but 2 babies lying on a display bed wrapped in dark green cloth with peculiar unblinking eyes. The witness stated, "I looked down at the babies, who were both tightly wrapped in dark green cloth. Both babies were quiet, very still, and looking at me and my coworker. I was taken aback by their odd eyes. Both babies had large pupils that were black. There were no irises, and neither of the babies blinked." The police officer was soon back with us, and he commented on the baby's eyes as well. In fact, he was totally freaked out, so much so that he looked scared. So this discovery prompted the store manager to advise the employees to leave, and subsequent reports revealed a series of strange events, including mysterious phone calls and security alarms. These were experienced by other employees as well. Days later, 2 unidentified women claiming to be from the municipal court arrived and took the babies into custody. Well, took them away, leaving behind a lingering sense of unease among the store employees and the police. Speculation arose regarding the origin of the women and the babies, with suspicions pointing towards McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita. The incident left an indelible mark on the witness, ultimately leading them to depart from their job due to the unnerving atmosphere and unsettling encounters with the enigmatic individuals. So, again, a second story with these weird, almost alien hybrid looking kind of babies, these big heads and dark eyes. Now, the last story here about changelings I'm going to go over is a little bit different, because this isn't just babies. This is in 1970. Dorothy Simpson having an ordinary day at a St. Louis suburb motel has a bit of a odd, bewildering turn when she encounters a group of inexplicable visitors. Engrossed in her work at the motel desk, she was startled by a peculiar whistling sigh, prompting her to look up, confronted with a sight that defied logic. Standing before her were 4 individuals, each unnaturally small, yet resembling a family unit. Their uncanny similarity to each other was striking, with the adults and children alike, with the adults and children looking almost identical. Dressed in opulent attire, presenting otherworldly presence. Notably, their hair appeared to be artificial, like they were wearing wigs. Initiating a bizarre exchange, the male figure, who identified himself as A. Bell, inquired about booking a room in a high-pitched voice, indicative of their unearthly nature. Despite communication barriers, Dorothy accepted payment from the visitors. Accepted might be a strong term. The male, this A. Bell, after asking how much a room was, seemingly had no idea how money works. He just pulled bills out of his pocket with like flat hands, like flat open hands, and just laid them out on the desk in front of her. And then she pulled out as much as she needed and gave him the money back. All the banknotes were crisp and initially aroused suspicion about them being counterfeit, but later proved to be genuine. However, the registration process was fraught with challenges due to their diminutive stature, leading to awkward attempts to sign forms and provide information. Struggling to reconcile their appearance with reality, Dorothy and her colleagues were left bewildered by the encounter. As the visitors, when they were asked where they were from, the male puts his hand straight up in the air, points to the sky, and says, "Up there. We're from up there." The wife or female in the group pushes his arm down, provides an address from Indiana, which turns out to be a false address. As the enigmatic family dined at the motel's restaurant, their presence continued to evoke curiosity and intrigue among staff members, from their diminutive size to peculiar inquiry about mundane foods, like, what is milk? Every aspect of their behavior seemed out of place, leaving a lasting impression on all who encountered them. The following day, no one saw the family leave through the only entrance possible, but they seemingly disappeared from their room. Very, very bizarre. Unfortunately, in 1970, probably before there was security cameras around, so no proof of that one. Next, I want to talk about the next category. Now, I'm not going to touch on any of the stories that they cover in the book because they were very short and pretty much can be summed up with just the description of what I'm going to talk about here. And that is tulpas. A tulpa is a concept originating from Tibetan Buddhism that refers to a thought form or mental construct created through focused meditation, visualization, and concentration. The term tulpa translates to emanation or magical apparition in Tibetan, reflecting its mystical nature. Tulpas are believed to be entities or beings brought into existence through the power of the mind, possessing their own autonomy and consciousness separate from their creator. The process of creating a tulpa typically involves prolonged and intensive meditation, during which the practitioner visualizes and imbues their mental construct with specific traits, characteristics, and personality. Through sustained mental focus and intention, the tulpa gradually gains form and substance, developing its own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The tulpa becomes a sentient being with its own independent existence within the mind of its creator. Tulpas are often depicted as taking various forms, ranging from humanoid figures to fantastical creatures, depending on the intentions and imagination of their creator. Some practitioners may create tulpas for companionship, spiritual guidance, or as a means of exploring the depths of consciousness in the nature of. In Tibetan Buddhism, tulpas are regarded as manifestations of the practitioner's mind and are subject to the laws of karma and impermanence. As such, they are considered to be transient, existing only as long as they are sustained by the practitioner's concentration and belief. However, there are anecdotal accounts and contemporary interpretations suggesting that tulpas may possess a degree of autonomy and agency beyond a mere psychological phenomena. Some practitioners claim to have experienced interactions with their tulpas that extend beyond their own conscious control, leading to speculation about the nature of consciousness and the potential for creating sentient beings. Overall, the concept of the tulpa offers a fascinating glimpse into the power of the human mind and its ability to shape and manifest reality, blurring the boundaries between imagination and existence in the realm of the mystical and metaphysical. A modern example of a tulpa would be Slender Man. Now, Slender Man is a fictional, tall, thin figure often depicted in a black suit with a featureless face, originating as an internet meme originally. Slender Man is associated with inducing fear and paranoia, particularly in wooded areas. It is often linked to mysterious disappearances. Despite being a fictional creation, Slender Man has become a prominent figure in horror culture, inspiring various media adaptations. I don't remember exactly where this started. It was an internet group, and what they did was just create fictional characters and then use Photoshop or something similar to create images of their creations. That's where it started. And then people started encountering Slender Man in reality. This also ties in doppelgangers. Now, doppelgangers, a double or lookalike of a living person, often portrayed as a ghostly or supernatural entity. The term originates from German folklore, where it is believed that encountering one's doppelganger is an omen of impending misfortune or death. In modern usage, a doppelganger refers to a person's uncanny physical resemblance to another individual, sometimes to the point of being mistaken for it. Now, I don't know if this ever happened to you. I've had it happen to me, where I've run into, I swear it's the person that I know. I swear it's the person I know. You start talking to them and all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait, you're not who I thought you were. Maybe they were. Maybe it was their doppelganger. I've had people come to me and tell me they saw me downtown 2 days ago. I'm like, well, that's impossible. I was out of town 2 days ago. It wasn't me. Don't know who you saw. It wasn't me. It's happened a few times. Now, in the stories in the book, like I said, they're pretty short, but a lot of these stories go something like, with the Tulpas, I put thought energy into this creation. And one of the first stories they talk about the Tulpas is very short, where someone is visiting a friend. And when they open the door, the friend opens the door, they see their friend, but behind them, they see this little shadowy blob. Kind of looks like a character that this person was working on. They were a writer. And they walk up to it and they try to touch it. And they said it felt soft, but then it just disappeared. Now, they could see it, but the person who created it couldn't. And they'd been working on this story really hard. And then this thing was following them around. So they had put enough thought into it. And that's how a lot of these stories go. So I didn't really cover them in this book, but I would like to do a little more research into Tulpas, because I know there's a bigger story out there somewhere. Doppelgangers, that's another one. I didn't cover a lot in here. I think it was really only one story. And it was like a father came home and there was, like, he saw people in his house. No, that's not what it was. The doppelganger story I read in the book was basically a family, and it mixed doppelganger and poltergeist, where they would see their daughter when she was asleep, and they saw this 4 times. As she was sleeping, they would see an older version of her standing over herself. And then there was poltergeist activity that started occurring. And then they wound up bringing a priest, and nothing bad happened to the child, but it was just these weird occurrences. And then that led into a whole nother aspect of parasitical beings, and that story just got out of the realm of mimics. And then the rest of the book goes into the alien and ET UFO side of mimics, which I'm gonna stop it right there. And I might go into that in a later episode and finish those off, because some of those stories are really, really fascinating. But this just already, up to that point, is a lot to digest. What are your thoughts on mimics? Have you encountered anything like this? I think a lot of people have had something like a doppelganger experience. And is that just coincidence? Does everybody have a twin and you see them? Have you had any kind of experience like that? Let me know at podcast@primitiveintelligence.com. I would love to hear it. There will be notes. There will be links to the book in the show notes, so you can check out the rest of the book. There's a lot. I covered a lot of information from it, but I've really just scratched the surface. There's a lot more in this book. What's going on with mimics? Are there entities? Is there another world parallel to our own where the entities can make it into our reality, but the only way they can really stay here is to look like us? Or are they hiding amongst us because they're feeding off of fear or strife or whatever? Or are they here to help? Which way do you see that? Again, I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. A lot of these things, the Tulpas, the Fae folk, they really closely align with the stories of Men in Black and the Black-Eyed Kids. Are they one and the same? Are they different visages of the same entity? There's a lot of avenues here this can go. And I've talked before about how I believe all these things are related. So I think there is a pretty good possibility that these are all different aspects of the same entity or reality or alternate reality or whatever you want to call it, the same intelligence. And with that, I'm going to end it here for this week. There's a lot more to go into with this book. Usually I say that's all I got for this week, but I could go on for 3-4 more hours with what I read in this book and the avenues it could take me down. So I'm going to leave it here for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, leave me your comments and your thoughts in the comments if you're watching the video, or shoot me an email. Other than that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. See ya.